WNST, Taos, including the Rock the Red and the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll be watching the games 3 and 4 next week at a couple of sponsor locations. I'll be getting some information out there for all of you rocking the red. We also have the NFL schedule probably coming out next week, and the NFL draft now 2 weeks away. This guy covering all things NFL as a former player and a guy at Sirius XM as well as a podcaster extraordinaire and NBCSN. We welcome Ross Tucker, the man, the myth, the legend, back. You can follow him out on Twitter as well at Ross Tucker NFL. Ross, I'm going to ask you the question everyone asks: who are the Ravens taking at 16? Come on, man, tell me.
You know what? I'll tell you what, Nestor. I don't think it's a quarterback. I know there's a lot of conversation about that, and I wouldn't discount the fact that it is a possibility. It just doesn't seem like Ozzie Newsome's style, especially if this is his last year. Yeah, I can't imagine that that's how he would want to go out. I guess the flip side would be maybe he would want to be the guy that drafted, the future at that position. I know that Flacco has not been as good in recent years. I think last year part of that was the injury and coming off of that. I still think, though, that the team showed a year ago that they're not that far away, that they're always capable with another guy here or there to going on a playoff run. So, I still think wide receivers a possibility. Even though they signed John Brown and Michael Crabtree, I wouldn't discount that at this point. I do think linebacker is still a possibility as well. And those are the two big ones. I mean, I think offensive line is one they would always consider. I don't see him going there. I wouldn't even be surprised, Nestor, if they traded down. They've had some success with a lot of these third and fourth round picks, the Brandon Williams types. And I feel like they probably think that they could get a guy they like, in the 20s, because they've had so much success, maybe not in recent years, but up until recent years, drafting in the 20s. It's funny. It's almost like, Nestor, they've done better when they were a better team drafting in the 20s than they have recently when they've been missing in the playoffs and drafting in the teens.
Well, it's been a little bit of a nowhere land for them, and certainly the second round's been tough for them. But you go back to Elam and Perryman, you go with the misses with Arthur Brown, they can't get Correa on the field. All of these problems that they've had have really made the difference for them to have to go out and spend money on a Eric Weddle or a Jefferson when they miss on an Elam, or go out in an offseason and get a Crabtree, or go in a desperation move after Macklin because the Perryman thing hasn't worked out. Ridley appears to be the only guy, and I know there's an argument for DJ Moore, and being in Maryland and a Terps fan, I'll hear that argument. But at 16, I haven't heard anybody jumping up and down about Ridley being a star player in this league or anything more than a little bit of a project at this point. And on the backside of Perryman, I know everyone here wants a sexy pick. They want a skill position pick, but they've been a lot better at finding offensive linemen that are going to the Hall of Fame than they have been at wide receivers. That's for sure.
It's a really good point, and it's kind of scary. I don't know why, but they've had so much success during Ozzie Newsome's tenure drafting. I would argue every position, Nestor, other than wide receiver, pretty much. It's unbelievable. It's like every first-round pick. It's almost like the same with Belichick in New England and second-round picks. I don't know what happened when those guys were together in Cleveland in the 90s. It's like they figured out, how to dominate the NFL from a player acquisition standpoint for every position other than wide receiver. I mean, neither one of them can draft a wide receiver high to save their life. I wouldn't say it's outside the realm of possibility. It's probably the most likely position, but they still like to get better on defense. I think they know a guy like Eric Weddle can't play forever. Wouldn't surprise me. They probably know Brandon Carr can't play forever. Now, they did get Marlon Humphrey last year, so I wouldn't think that they would go corner, but I think if a safety fell to them, they would consider that as well. I got to ask you, I know you brought me on your show, but I got to ask you, what's the appetite right now down there for if they did take a quarterback at 16?
Well, I mean, that guy would have to be their savior, right? And that guy would probably look like Mayfield or probably look like Jackson, right, at this point, because it's not going to be Darnold. It's not going to be Rosen, right? It's not going to be the kid from Wyoming either. I don't know that It would seem to me to be kind of silly. It would really say they don't believe in Flacco, and I don't have anybody inside or outside the building other than media people down on Flacco that are so down on him. I don't think anybody in the building doesn't believe that he can't go out and win 13 games next year. I think that the back was hurt, and I'm more bullish on Flacco than some, but I haven't had anybody inside the organization that says, he's done. I don't think it's even close to that. I don't believe anybody believes that.
Yeah, I think that they're more likely, if anything, Nestor, to take a quarterback, second or third round, maybe fourth round, like a guy that they really like. I mean, there's a bunch of guys, Mike White, Western Kentucky, Kyle Lauletta from Richmond, maybe Mason Rudolph falls that far to the second round. I doubt it. People seem to like him, but they could get a guy that they could kind of have in the pipeline in case, the bottom really falls out for Flacco this year, or in case they want to move on from Flacco after this year. They could start to get that guy. I don't think that they feel like they have that guy in Woodrum, and I know they're just kind of taking a flyer on RG3, but it does not seem to me like a Ravens move to take that guy in round one. I think receiver is a distinct possibility. I think they'll look at linebacker. They'll look at somebody in the secondary because they always like adding guys back there.
I think the offensive line, to discount that, I mean, McGlinchey has been mocked to them in many cases. I think even Orlando Brown Jr., although not at 16, to your point. But I've said to everyone that will listen, Ozzie made some references at the Liars Luncheon. And, hey, it is the Liars Luncheon, so, you always take it with a grain of salt about dealing back. But Ozzie doesn't need to threaten to deal back. I mean, that's something that he has liked to do a lot in the past. And in that 16 spot, I see all these names mocked, Ross, like the first 10, 12 names, all the same guys, right? Whether it's Chubb, whether it's the guard, those guys are all there. 15 to 60, everybody's mocks are different, and I'm sure the Ravens front office will be, no different than anyone else to say, well, we really like this tight end, but we're not going to take him at 16, or we really like this kid in the second round, but we'll deal backwards to go get some of these guys. And the Patriots have firepower. The Cowboys need a wide receiver. Maybe if there's one of those quarterbacks sitting there, that becomes a nicer trade piece at 16 than a let's take a chance on the kid from Louisville.
No, I agree, and I think that they'd like to trade down if they can. I wonder if at that spot there will be somebody good enough that these other teams will trade up for. Because I'm with you. I could see the Ravens trading down and then maybe getting the top tight end on their board, or the top center on their board, which would enable them to have Skura then, be a backup guard center, and maybe they get, one of the top guys like James Daniels, from Iowa, who I really like, or, I know he tore his pec, but Billy Price from Ohio State. You get that guy to go with Hurst and Young on either side. Sure, Goose will be in the mix. Stanley and Alex Lewis coming back from, injury, if they want to keep him out at, offensive tackle, and they could start to have a really good group again, which, when the Ravens have been good, that group has usually been a big reason for it.
Ross Tucker is our guest. You can follow his journey at Ross Tucker NFL, as well as at NBCSN and the Sirius XM. He's doing his podcast, his Ross Tucker Football Podcast as well. You can learn all about that out on Twitter. Pizza John's is our sponsor, 50 years now, same as me, since 1968 down in Essex. And I know Ross likes some pizza, but he's never been to Pizza John's. I like to tease all of my out-of-town people about Pizza John's. Get on down to Essex, back River Neck Road. See why they've been doing it there for 50 years. Get yourself some ice cream at the ice cream bar there as well. Ross, you got to talk about Ball Cannon. I know this is a major off-season thing for you. You have a lot of fun with Ball Cannon, and everything you do is brought to you by them, your partner, in what they do.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a guy from my hometown, and I told him I'd help him out. And, what I tell people now is just go check out the video. I can talk on and on about it, but, between my 4 and 6-year-olds, I play it, I use it with them, Nestor, and now a fourth NFL team, the Buffalo Bills, just bought one.
Wow.
That gives you the indication of, the wide range of uses for the Ball Cannon, the first recreational football launcher that's out there. So like I always say to everybody, look, I can go on and on. Check out the video. It's the only thing I know that actually my kids like more than their iPads or more than video games. They absolutely love to go outside. and launch footballs, whether they're making me try to catch them or I'm launching them at them and they're trying to catch them. It's absolutely awesome. It's the only thing of its kind, and as the weather finally breaks, it's the perfect time to check out ballcannon.com and get something that your kid will go outside and play with for hours every day.
Going to be in the upper 70s by the weekend. Ross Tucker, our guest, and Ross Tucker NFL. Man, you do so many things, from podcasting, and you're always talking about the game and always involved and always in conversations out on the web. Boy, the Rams and the Eagles have seemingly won the offseason. I know the Browns are going to win the draft because they always do, but what the Rams have managed to do here in trying to inspire that community to come out. We played the Chargers this year out there, and I'm interested in seeing that in a little soccer stadium. But the Rams are trying to build something out there and do it quickly in that L.A. fashion of, hey, what would happen if we brought a Super Bowl here sometime in the next year or two?
Yeah, you know what? They're trying hard, man. And I wonder, I'm a little bit skeptical. I mean, on the one hand, I appreciate them with guys like Gurley and Goff and Aaron Donald on their rookie contracts trying to maximize that. I respect that. But on the flip side, man, I mean, I feel like a lot of the moves they're making are for business purposes. And, what people forget, Nestor, is they lost Jermaine Johnson. I mean, I think he's as good, if not better, than Aqib Talib at this point and Marcus Peters. They lost Alec Ogletree. They haven't replaced him at linebacker. They traded Robert Quinn. They don't really have an edge rusher. So I would just tell you that they're better, and they definitely have more star power, which is what you need out in L.A., I think that people, though, when they talk about Sue and Aqib Talib and Peters and all these guys, I think they're losing sight of the fact that they've also lost some guys.
Fair enough. Well, we're just concerned what the Steelers and the Bengals and the Browns are doing around here, trying to make our way and get to the draft here and get better with Michael Crabtree. Hey, man, always a pleasure to visit with you. I know your time is short. We'll check in again sometime after the draft and get ready for the season again, Ross. Be well.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to seeing you, Nestor. Take care, man.
Ross Tucker, NFL, the way to find him and his podcast, as well as at NBCSN, as well as Sirius XM. Anywhere football is sold, you can find Ross Tucker. The folks at Howard Bank are sponsoring our community and charity series, as well as our friends at Cole Roofing. That happens each and every Thursday. We talked about the Brigance Brigade last week and everything O.J. Brigance and all the tentacles of the great work they're doing for ALS and Lou Gehrig's disease. We talked to Casey Baines last week from the Casey Cares Foundation, doing a big event this week with Lisa Salters, as well as Brian Billick out at Hayfields. We'll be promoting that all week long as well. And I had Van Brooks on the program to talk about SAFE last week. We're going to be doing some MDA conversations with Bill Bolander from Jerry's Toyota and Jerry Chevrolet this week as they get their golf tournament going. That golf tournament, I got the flyer here right here. See that? The 5th Annual Golf Classic is July 16th at the Suburban Club in Pikesville, Maryland. It's all going to benefit the MDA and the Muscular Dystrophy Foundation. Starts at 7:30 in the morning on Monday, July 16th. Beverages will be included in the Jerry's Auto Group 5th Annual Golf Classic. We'll be talking about that on Thursday. All brought to you by Howard Bank, as well as our friends at Cole Roofing. Every Thursday, charity, community series, talking more about that. The Modell Lyric and our friends are our partners now. The Wild Kratts Show, the PBS Kids Show, is this Sunday, 4:30. The 1 o'clock is sold out. They still have some tickets left for the 4:30 of the Wild Kratts at Modell Lyric this week. Britt Floyd's there on the 26th. That's draft night. If you want to follow the draft on our WNST text service, you can do that and go hear some Pink Floyd music. And then Jackson Brown on May 3rd, Kansas and Steely Dan coming to the Modell Lyric this fall. Football's coming to the Rofo Arena on Friday night. Indoor football. The Baltimore Brigade begin their second season. They're taking on the Washington Valor. I've got my Brigade hat on all week to support the Brigade. Tickets available at BaltimoreBrigade.com as well as at the Monumental Sports app, and you can download that and watch the games as well. Our breaking news tech service is brought to you by Coons Ford and Dennis Colossus. He's here on Thursday. The SSV on WNST, heard from 3 until 5, and of course the Coons Ford sponsorship of our WNST tech service. It is our best service. 10,000 of you on it each and every day. When there is breaking news, you get it first. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. I am Nestor. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live right here on our Facebook Live, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Taos, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.